Hey, what's going on there, guys? Nick here from Absolute MTG, and welcome back to another installment of the MTG stock market, where we're tracking prices and trends for Magic the Gathering cards across different formats of play. So for this episode, we're mainly going to be talking about standard and format rotation. So Theros block is going to be rotating out this upcoming fall. Right now is about the time to start speculating on some cards that you want to be trading off and some stuff that you want to be turning into cards from Khans of Tarkir, and ultimately just trying to turn a profit whenever Khans of Tarkir block is going to be the only full block in the format, and then you get to trade off some stuff that's going to go up in price. So the first talking point that I wanted to have about standard and rotation is actually for the gods for Theros block. So with this, I mean Athreos, Purphoros, Iroas, Pharika, Thassa, Mogus, Erebos, Nylea, Xenagos, Phenax, Krufix, Heliod, Afara, and Karametra. So the only one not on the list is Keranos, because Keranos actually sees play in Modern. He's playable in the red-blue decks, where you go from playing a combo deck with Splinter Twin to actually just being a control deck, where you can even side out your combo entirely, and you play Keranos in there as a pseudo win condition for you, or even just a draw engine. Now, with the rest of these guys, they're cards that you want to be trading off at this moment in time, just because they're going to keep on going down in price as the rotation draws nearer, and ultimately these guys aren't really going to be massively playable as far as the new sets coming out, where we're going to have Dragons of Tarkir, and we're going to have Origins come out as well. These cards don't have a huge range of potential to actually be playable, and they're pretty easy to trade off at the moment. People are still playing them in EDH. People are even going to play them in EDH after the rotation occurs. However, they're going to be much easier to pick up because people are going to try to get rid of them at that point in time, and right now is a pretty good time to be unloading them. Now, outside of the gods that we mentioned here, there's also some other stuff that you guys maybe want to consider at this point in time, as far as trading off some stuff and acquiring some different cards for the rotation that's going to occur. With this, the first one on our list is a Johnny Mentor of Heroes. Now, he sees play in Abzan. He is a little bit more on the fringe end now than anything else. He does have the potential of seeing some play in the future in Abzan variants. However, I wouldn't expect to see him anything more than like a 2 of. At most, I would probably see him being played as a 1 of in those types of variants. Next is our Perilous Vault, which sees play in Control, of course. And mainly, with this list, if you don't see yourself playing these archetypes, it shouldn't be too hard for you to get rid of some of these cards. Mana Confluence, of course, is played as a 1 of in 2-color decks for consistency, and even goes up further with the copies that are being played based on how greedy the deck is actually going with splitting between their colors. Liliana Vess, of course, sees play in Abzan now, and people really aren't playing many copies of her. I think most are playing 1 or 2 copies, so if you have a lot of spare copies of Liliana Vess at the moment, it shouldn't be too hard to get rid of them. Johnny Steadfast is more fringe than anything right now. He is at $8, so right now I would have no problem just getting rid of my Johnnies. Hero of Iroas, if you don't see yourself playing Heroic, then I would just get rid of all my copies of Hero of Iroas, because realistically, after the rotation, Heroic's not really going to be a deck at all. Nykthos, pretty much the same thing. There's really only the Green Devotion deck in Modern that is going to be playing Nykthos, and outside of that, it's really not going to see any play. I wouldn't imagine that Nykthos would actually be even that much money after the rotation whatsoever. And even the Green Devotion deck within Modern isn't really that great. Waste Not is more of a fringe Modern card as well, for the 8-rack decks that like to play around with discard effects and making your opponent pitch cards and then getting some triggers off of it. Godsend is more EDH than anything, but the card's going to keep on going down in price anyway, so I would probably get rid of any regular copies that I have, probably hold on to foil copies of Godsend just for being able to sit on them for quite some time, and then hopefully they'll go up in value over time for the EDH demand that's actually going to be around for it. And last but not least, Soul of Theros, which is seeing some play here and there. Some people are experimenting with lists that are dredging with Soul Flare, Chromanticore type effects and stuff like that, and they're playing Soul of Theros in there. It's cool, but realistically, with Soul of Theros, I'd much rather get rid of it at $4 a pop than actually hold on to them at all. Now, as you guys may make the move from trading your Theros block cards for Khans of Tarkir block stuff, right now I would probably be looking at trading for stuff mainly from the Khans of Tarkir set, just because it's bottomed out. With this, I have a list for you guys of some of the cards and their prices that I think are pretty justifiable at the moment to be trading for. So the first we have Sorin Solemn Visitor. If you guys pay attention to Block Constructed online, it actually paints a pretty good picture of what the core structure of Standard may look whenever the previous block is going to go out, and then we just have our new base block to build off from. Sorin is definitely going to be very impactful. Abzan is definitely going to be a huge archetype still, unless something in the future sets just absolutely skews that out of the picture. But Sorin Solemn Visitor is definitely hugely playable. He is even somewhat playable in Modern as well. I know some lists for Abzan are playing him as like a one-of. He's pretty sweet in Modern. I actually play him as a one-of myself. However, as far as Standard is concerned, he's a really, really good Planeswalker. The same thing goes for Sarkhan as well. Sarkhan used to be a whole lot more expensive, and now at $11 he's actually pretty easy to pick up. So I actually wouldn't feel bad at all picking up Sarkhan for like 10 or $11 a piece, or trading for him at that value, just because you can honestly trade like a fetch land for Sarkhan pretty easily. Now, Siege Rhino is still at $8. I wouldn't imagine that Siege Rhino is going to go way too far down as far as price goes, just because people are starting to realize that Siege Rhino is playable in Modern, and people are playing him as a 4-of. However, now's the time where it's pretty easy to just pick up extra Siege Rhinos that are floating around, just kind of sit on them for a while, and whenever Theros block rotates out, whenever there is a higher demand and Khans isn't being opened up as much, you're going to have some trade fodder. Same thing with Wingmate Rock. Wingmate Rock has kind of been on the decline. However, there is definitely room for like Abzan aggro to be a lot more playable. And with that, Wingmate Rock could see a bigger resurgence and could go up more in price. It's not really great in every single matchup. However, in the more aggressive decks that are playing like a whole lot of lower end drops where they're just swinging with a dude, the Wingmate Rock actually does end up being pretty good. And pretty much same in that region, we have Anafenza the Foremost that is at the same price tag. It's another card that I couldn't see not being playable once Theros actually rotates out. Now, even though Whip of Erebos is going to be rotating out with Theros, I think Sidisi is still going to be a very playable card, especially with Delve strategies and being able to play with cards like Soulflare. I think it's pretty safe to go in at $5 and trade for some Sidisis and wait for people to actually see a higher demand in Sidisi, and you having like an extra playset or two to be able to trade off for the cards that you actually want that are a little bit more desirable for you at the moment. But if anything, I don't feel too bad about Ashcloud Phoenix being at $4 and just trying to get a whole bunch of them right now. Ashcloud Phoenix has proven to be a pretty good contender as far as aggressive creatures go, from what we've seen thus far for the standard season with decks like Red-White Aggro. It's really great in more synergy-based decks, especially whenever you're playing something around Temur where you're trying to trigger off Ferocious and you're trying to get that constant 4 power on the board. But even outside of that, whenever you're just playing these aggressive strategies and your opponent's trading 1-for-1 removal for your creature, Ashcloud Phoenix has proven to be really, really good in play. And I wouldn't imagine that if people are going to try to jam decks like Temur in the future, that Ashcloud Phoenix wouldn't be a part of that whole actual formula of creatures that you want to be playing. The same thing goes with Mantis Rider as far as Jeskai is concerned. We mentioned this in previous episodes. Mantis Rider is just such a great card. It's basically Lightning Angel, but not really Lightning Angel at the same time. It's a cheaper one, but it has a smaller butt. So, I mean, Mantis Rider is still the real deal. It's such a great card within the format. And just being able to have Vigilance and Haste and just keep on hitting your opponent every turn with Flying is just really perfect as far as a aggressive creature that could be played in a counterburn style deck. Now, the next card that we have is Sirach Dragonclaw, and I would be lying if I said that I didn't think that this card would see play in the future as far as future standard is concerned. This guy's just really crazy as far as being a 6/6 for 5 that you can flash in. He makes your dudes uncounterable. Just his entire text box, the text on that card is just really sweet. And Sirach Dragonclaw is just like the perfect card that you want to be ramping into and just slamming on the table, or even at the end of your opponent's turn after they do something, you can just flash him in and still be able to do other stuff during your opponent's turn. Sirach just seems like such a really, really good contender for being a good card, and at $1.50, it's so easy to actually find them and pick them up. People are just kind of tossing them in here and there as leverage for trades whenever trades are uneven and stuff like that. It shouldn't be way too hard to pick some up or find some in somebody's trade binder at the moment. And the same thing goes for cards like Savage Knuckleblade and Rakshasa Death Dealer. Rakshasa Death Dealer, of course, sees play within Abzan as far as block constructed is concerned. People in block are playing it as a 4 of. And even whenever the Abzan aggro decks were seeing much more play in Standard, Rakshasa Death Dealer has proven to be one of those cards that you can play. You can play it very well, and it protects itself against decks that are just trying to trade 1-for-1 removal. You can play the Rakshasa Death Dealer. If your opponent only has one source of removal, you can just try to attack. Your opponent tries to kill it off. You regenerate it, and that's it for the turn. They spent their turn trying to kill it, and if you left mana open, you were able to protect it, and you're just going forward from that point. But with Savage Knuckleblade, it's another card with the same properties as Sirach Dragonclaw for me as far as just power creeps go. Having a 4/4 for 3 that could potentially give itself haste, it can pump itself, and it can also bounce itself back to the hand if your opponent has any removal or anything like that, seems really, really sweet to me. And the fact that it also interacts with like the Temur Ascendancy is also a cool interaction as well. But that about does it for this installment of the MTG stock market. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and would like to see more, please be sure to hit that like button on the video and to subscribe to the channel for more Magic the Gathering content. Until next time, guys, thank you for watching, and peace out.